Ableism in Nigeria. Nigeria is a country with vibrant cities and rural villages, rich in culture and diversity. However, the environment presents special difficulties for the millions of Nigerians who are living with disabilities. Assumpta Khalid, Dr. Christiana Akinrimade, Musiliu Afalsati, Kelly Odusoya, Veronica Uwaje, Fatima Aderohumu. Despite the National Policy on Disability in Nigeria 2017 and the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act of 2018, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability and imposes sanctions such as fines and prison sentences on those who violate it, people living with disabilities face varied levels of ableism across the country. This special report by Esther Onyegbula, sponsored by African Women in Media, exposed the depth of ableism and how it affects persons living with disabilities and what stakeholders can do to curb the trend. Assumpta Khalid is a right-hand amputee. She acquired disability through an accident in 2002.
My name is Assumpta Khalid. That's my name. I am a person with a physical disability, right-hand amputee. I work for some organizations. I am the PRO for Network of Women with Disability in Nigeria, Lagos chapter. I'm also a volunteer for Center for Citizens with Disability. I've been there with them for some years now. I am also the Women's Coordinator for Star Children Development Initiative, Lagos, Nigeria. When I acquired the disability in year 2002, it was only 22 years, so the first 5 years, it was terrible. It was a terrible experience for me. Embracing the reality that this is who I am now was a major problem for me. I actually did not see myself amounting to anything. So I was living in self-denial. I was afraid that this is how my life was going to end, or this is how I was going to be, because as at that time, I have not had my 2 daughters. I was still single without a possible man to get married to me then. So life was something I was not ready to come to terms with. I mean, accepting. So it boils down that how I was able to overcome. It took me 5 years to overcome the trauma, what disability brought to me, the realities, facing the reality. It took me 5 years. And in those 5 years was when I had the worst time of my experiences as a person with disability, because it was those 5 years I told myself, Assumpta, you cannot amount to anything. I have not faced discrimination in my workplace. I have not faced discrimination in my place of worship. But attitudinal, yes. But those ones, I see them as maybe because maybe they are, wow, I'm like surprised. Why is she like this and all of that. But the main discrimination I've faced actually is from my family and especially from friends. The discrimination actually started from my family and my personal life. I would not want to mention the person's name. Called me. That time I became a person with disability, so a few years back afterwards, and called me. I was like, Assumpta, I should sit down. So I sat down and he said to me, do you know that you have bad luck? I was like, how do you mean? He said, come to think of it, you had an accident, you lost your hand, got married, the marriage did not work, blah blah blah. That means as a result something actually is wrong with me and that I have bad luck. So I just looked at him and I smiled. I told him I don't have bad luck. I take someone that has glory and that have good luck, like you said, that have good luck, for him or her to even go through what I went through and survive. So for me, that's one of those were one of the situations that I will never forget. Then battering from my personal life. It was crazy. As I'm talking to you, I still remember those phases in my life where it's like I'm watching a video clip of how I went through battering, emotional battering, physical emotional, being emotionally hurt, then physical battering. Those discriminations, I went through those experiences because I'm a person with a physical disability. Because of my disability, I experienced those discriminations from family and from some friends. Some friends stayed off, or later done on them. Some still give me attitude though. I just look at them as is their low level of understanding when it comes to my friends, but for my family and my personal life, those I can't forget. So if you find yourself as a person with disability, first of all, do not isolate yourself. Look for other persons with disability and associate yourself with them, especially persons who have your similar disability. It helps to heal. You must draw strength. It helps to heal. Thank God there is awareness. Unlike my days then, people were not talking about it. It's not like people were not talking, but as at this age, people are talking. Look for people, I think the government too can also help these people to heal. Look for organizations. When you have somebody that acquires disability or becomes a person with disability, maybe because of health-related issues, accident, anything could have caused it. Don't just discharge that person. Just take the person, direct he or she to a particular group, organizations that can help rehabilitate that person.
Speaking on ableism in Nigeria, Dr. Christiana Akirimade, an advocate for people with disabilities and the founder of Hope Builders for the Physically Challenged Foundation, stated that in this part of the world, many people who live with various forms of disabilities face discrimination because society does not understand the challenge they face.
I became visually impaired at the adulthood age. I was sighted all along the line. I worked in the banking industry.
Okay.
When I became visually impaired, I was ashamed of myself because of the perception of people that when you are blind, you are no longer valuable. As if when you are blind, you are a disgrace to the family. So people look at it that when you are blind, you can never attain your career or achieve anything in life. They believe when you are blind, you are a liability, you become a liability to the society. But with the special grace of God, when I became blind, I thought likewise. I was at home for some years, thinking that was the end of my career. I almost committed suicide because of stigmatization for people that are visually impaired. It's like they are shameful. People are ashamed of them. Likewise, myself, I was ashamed of myself when I became visually impaired. My children were not happy, and I was not happy. My family were not happy with me. There was nowhere to go. I was just at home until I discovered that there is still light at the end of the tunnel. Until when I went to the blind school where I was rehabilitated, where I was transformed, where I was reinstated, I discovered that I can still attain my career, that life can still continue, that in my challenge, it gives me strength rather than weakness as people thought. I faced a lot of stigmatization. I faced a lot of discrimination in the society, in the family, in the church. I miss my friends. I faced that. So all people that are visually impaired, not only people visually impaired, people that are living with disabilities, we always face this stigmatization. We face discrimination. People look at you like a third-class citizen. They never attach any importance, even when you are talking, and even when you are amidst them, they believe you cannot cope with them. But when you put more effort with prayer, you can attain that career you wish to attain in life.
Afalsati acquired disability when she was 5 years old after suffering from polio. Coming from a relatively indigent family, her hope of acquiring formal education was dashed as she lived most of her early life unable to access formal education. She had to learn how to make hair from a local salon. Currently, Afalsati makes hair in her community to make ends meet. Fatima Aderohunmu acquired disability when she was about 10 years old due to health-related issues. She lost the use of her lower limbs. Sharing her experience, Fatima, who is currently studying at the National Open University, said she was in secondary school when it all started. She faced stiff discrimination in secondary school, both from her students and teachers alike, who made her life in school difficult. The discrimination she faced was very depressing because she had to pause schooling in 2014, immediately after her secondary education for 6 years before she went back to school.
So when I finished secondary school, I stayed at home for a while because I learned that university life is not, it wasn't built for, like, let me say it wasn't with me because now it is still the same. It's not built for people with disabilities. It's not inclusive for people with disabilities. So those periods from 2014 to like 2021, I stayed at home for those years because I didn't want to continue my education. And it wasn't deliberately. It was because of the inaccessibility and the discrimination I faced in secondary school. So there was this particular day I went to my what's this exam called? NECO. Yes, NECO. And then the location, the center wasn't accessible. That's the daily challenges we face as someone with disability. So I used to write my exam in the car. And there was this particular day, this invigilator, he said, no, he's not going to allow me to write my exam in the car. And whenever I want to write my exam in the car like that, they used to do it all session just to be clean. And I understand that it's the right thing to do. So this particular day, after checking everything, he said no. He was adamant he's not going to allow me. No matter how much I beg you. He said, if it's to crawl, I should crawl. I have to come inside to the exam center. It was very wicked. Everyone started begging me. And then, whenever it's time for the exam, my mom used to stay outside. And that particular day, she was outside. They don't want anyone around the exam premises. My mom wasn't with me, so there was no one to help. And they called, I think they called one of the teachers. Yeah, one of the female teachers. As a Muslim, it's not permissible for any man to just put a Muslim woman. So they called this particular woman that day to come and help, because I then have started using a wheelchair. So, and she said, it's too far too. I can't assist her. Maybe she should go and call her mom outside because I can't assist her. That was what she said that day. And I started crying because I was like, this isn't my fault. This isn't what I choose for myself. This isn't, everything. That day I was just like, why should I be the one going through all this? This isn't something that I said, this is what I want. Dear God, this is what I want. Give it to me. I didn't mean this is what I said I want for myself. It would have been a different story. What she said that particular day, like to this very day, I can't forget about it. Never.
Kemi Odusoya got the shock of her life when she was looking for a place of primary assignment for her NYSC. For someone who is visually impaired.
So my name is Kemi Odusoya. Talking about discrimination, if I have faced it, It's not really. I remember when I was trying to get a place of summary assignment for my NYSC, and I went to an organization. At first, they were shocked. They were asking several questions. Can I handle their equipment? Can I handle their console? How will I be able to come to work? And all that. So their understanding about persons with disability was different. So I had to start reschooling them to make them understand the values and essentials persons with disability can bring on board. So yes, I have faced several discrimination in terms of attitude, in terms of barriers placed in by society about the competency or me having the skills to deliver on the job. Yes, I have. The visual impairment started in 2006, and I went through about 3 operations, surgical, to correct the eye. It didn't work out, and in 2007-8, the eyesight finally deteriorated. So I went for rehabilitation, and that was how I continued my life.
Veronica Uwaje is a global diversity, equity, inclusion activist. She is hard of hearing. Being a person with disability, PWD, is a big deal, and this part of the world, Africa, won't spare us. That I was born with this disability, it was caused by 2 road accidents I have experienced on 2 different occasions. One during my primary school days, which was when it started, and later on my way to Bielsa for my NYSC. I have experienced ableism on several occasions. The use of languages that perpetuates negative stereotypes. I've lost count on how many times people address and call me OD, Madam No Network. When you meet me, if I don't tell you, I can't hear you, you will know. This is because, unlike many deaf you must have met, my speech is fluent, and being hard of hearing, I can still manage to hold conversations with or without my hearing aids. So sometimes, when I try to call people back to some lines I missed when they're communicating with me, I hear them say, Odini or Madam No Network don't come. Well, I no longer get upset with these languages as I am already used to it. Most of our people tend to derive their joy in seeing other people sad, frustrated, or angry. Not me, though. Being in a leadership position has made me get numerous invitations to public spaces, some of which at the end I do not enjoy because I am unable to hear what's going on or participate fully as expected. I'm one person to participate fully in events I attend, but without an interpreter, I can't do so. Most of the important events held here in Nigeria are without interpreters, even churches. There are some churches I would have been a full-time member and also effective, but the lack of accessibility won't allow me. I recently had to decline an international invitation because the organizers would not make provisions for sign language interpreters. It was a painful decision, but I had to let go because it's better I'm not there than to be there without making contributions or participating fully. Ableism in Nigeria can be dismantled through awareness, education, and policy changes. By focusing on the abilities, potentials, and rights of individuals, we can create a more inclusive society. Together, we can build a Nigeria where everyone, regardless of ability or disability, has the opportunity to thrive.